An appraisal is an opinion of value given by a licensed appraiser who's been hired by the bank who's providing the loan for the buyer. Usually the appraised price and the contract price are similar, but what happens when they're not? If you have a buyer and seller who want to proceed with the contract, your first response is often to panic. But once you get past that point, let's look at the alternatives you have if your appraisal comes in low. And if you want to know what happens if your appraisal comes in high, stick around and I'll let you know that too. Let's use the scenario of a $365,000 purchase price and your appraisal comes in at $350,000. The lender won't loan more than the appraised price, so that leaves a difference of $15,000 that needs to be made up. Option number one is that the seller lowers the purchase price $15,000. This is generally the most common alternative to a low appraisal. Option number two is that a buyer brings $15,000 to the closing table to make up the difference. Most of the time, buyers don't like paying more than the appraised value, and once they've paid their closing costs and their down payment, they often don't have any money left. Option number three is that the buyer and seller negotiate. Maybe they split the difference. Maybe the seller comes down $10,000 and the buyer brings an additional $5,000 in cash, but it's all negotiable. Option number four is always what I want to do, and that's to challenge the appraisal. I live in a town with 5 military bases, and if we have a difference of value between an appraisal and a purchase price, it's usually on a VA loan. The unfortunate fact is, if you challenge an appraisal, they send out the same appraiser to redo it, they charge you again, and they're not usually happy that you questioned their judgment the first time. Rarely, if ever, will they change the value the second time they go out. So while it's an option, it's not normally a viable option. Option number five is that either the buyer or the seller can terminate the contract. If all the contract dates have been met, the buyer will get their earnest money back and the seller can relist on the market. There is a sixth option. It's a little unorthodox, but I've used it successfully several times in the past, and that's that the buyer can pull their loan and take it to a new lender. That means a new appraisal and hopefully a new appraiser. But if the purchase price and the appraised price are far apart, it might be a good alternative for the buyer and seller. Those are 6 common responses to a low appraisal. But what happens if the appraisal comes in high? Can the seller back out? Absolutely not. The fact is, buyer agents rarely tell seller agents the amount of the appraisal. Unless it comes in low, there's no need to disclose that information. It can even cause problems with the seller if you tell them the appraisal came in high because they're worried they left money on the table. But again, an appraisal is just one person's opinion of the value. If you'd like more tips and tricks for buyers and sellers, be sure and hit the subscribe button and the little bell so you're notified each week as I post new videos.